the investments in our future to create financial stability. And just like any president, we evaluate what they do for the economy. And sometimes we look to them to help us determine how good our life economically will be. But I'm here to tell you, you have to create your own economy. You have to think about what you have to do to keep income coming into your business. What you need to understand about what you're going to do in your career and using that money to invest in things and get to the point where you're not working, exchanging time for money, but you're learning how to make money make money. This is all something we can do intentionally as we learn how to create our own economy, being smart with our money and understanding that we always want to monitor what is going in and what is coming out. And so many presidents have struggled to do this. And that's why we don't see any economy that is perfect. But you better try to focus on your own economy, because no matter what economy we're in as a nation, you got to see the economy that's in your household. You know, there's so much being discussed right now about who we should vote for. And there's never been a time in history that has been so polarizing. People wondering, should I go with the Democrat? Should I go with the Republican? Should I go with Donald Trump? Should I go with Kamala Harris? Now, when you think about all the things that people are considering, and there's so many viewpoints, and I want to say before I even go deep into this episode that I have no dog in that fight. I really am about seeing everyone win and be successful. And I want you to understand that you have a right to vote, and you should do what is according to the dictates of your heart, what you think is best for you and your family. And that's something that is a personal decision. And it's wonderful that you have an opportunity to do that in America. But I want you to understand something that, you know, when we talk about who we should vote for, there is a best candidate, and there is something that we should always consider as the guiding force of every year, every term, every situation, that we should always say, this is who I cast my vote for. And we can use that this time around once again. Now, before I go deep into considering talking about this subject, right, which could be kind of sensitive for some, I want to just say how much respect I have for the journey that has been traveled just for people to have an opportunity to vote. You remember back in 1787, the whole U.S. Constitution, it literally was built around individual states, you know, just kind of doing what they felt was best. And there was more of a restriction on, you know, voting on, you know, who owned certain property. It was more built around Caucasian to, you know, white men. And this is how this kind of started, right, back in 1787. But also, if we look at the 15th Amendment and we go to 1870, now this was prohibiting voting discrimination based on race and color or, you know, previous servitude or, you know, supposed to give African-American, you know, men the right to vote. However, many people still felt disenfranchised. And there was all kinds of literacy tests and polls and taxes and other means that really stopped people from really having a legitimate opportunity to vote. And another key time was 1920. Now, 1920 was the 19th Amendment. And we think about the 19th Amendment, you know, this granted women the right to vote after a long struggle led by the women's suffrage movement and thinking about all the suffering that women went through. Here we were in 1920 with the 19th Amendment giving women the right to vote. Now, think about 1924, not too much longer after that. We had the Indian Citizenship Act. Now, this really gave Native Americans U.S. citizenship and the right to vote. Now, though some states continued to restrict their voting rights, this was the beginning of opening a door for more people to have this opportunity to vote. Now, if we fast forward to the 1950s and 1960s, here comes the civil rights movement, right? And we know that this was just a strong advocate for African Americans to be able to vote. There was so much systemic discrimination and voter suppression tactics being used. Even though so-called everyone was supposed to be able to vote, we know it really was not being done in a just way. So, the civil rights movement came to fight for those things. So, we remember all the things that took place with Dr. King and so many who fought those battles. Now, this led up to 1965. We got the Voting Rights Act actually passed. And the Voting Rights Act, this kind of landmark law, it prohibited racial discrimination in voting, eliminating many barriers such as literacy tests and allowing for federal oversight in areas with, having areas that had history of discrimination. The federal government could get involved to make sure that people actually got this opportunity to vote. So this was another critical point. Now, in 1971, we had the 26th Amendment. Now, this lowered the voting age from 21 to 18. Now, this expanded the right to vote to millions of younger Americans. So this was another critical point. Now, let's go as close as 1990. Now, this was when you had the Americans with Disabilities Act. Now, this improved voting access for those that had disabilities and mandated making sure that polling was accessible to all people with disabilities and giving them the accommodations that needed to make sure they could participate in the process. Now, in 2013, we have the really big case, Shelby County versus Holder, the Supreme Court's decision that removed key provisions of the Voting Rights Act, leading to debates over new voting laws and concerns about potential voter suppression. This was a battle beginning to be fought, in 2013, which was not that long ago. And now recent efforts in the 2020s now, right? There's just ongoing initiatives for all kinds of legal battles in terms of voting access, voter ID laws, barriers that's marginalizing certain communities and all these different things, incarcerated individuals and what should they be able to do. And there's been a lot of debates over, what was the voting process fair and all of that. I'm not here to get into all of that, but I'm just saying this is still today a hot topic. So I say all that to say that I have a great respect for the fact that people can vote in this country. Now, but I want to, kind of go into some things about this, though, that is very critical. And I want to explain to you now why, no matter who wins, there's something you need to understand. All right, now I want to tell you 9 different reasons that you should understand that no matter who wins, there's some things that just don't seem to change that much. Now, this is not meant to be any political slant. I'm not pushing Democratic values or Republican values. I simply just want you to understand that no matter who wins, there's some things that we've struggled with in this country. Let's break each one of them down. Now, the first one is economic inequality. Economic inequality. So when we think about economic inequality, despite all the different policies, there's been such a wealth disparity and economic inequality. It's always remained a constant issue. Both parties have promised reforms and income, inequality being, fixed and made better, but it has always widened over the decades, no matter if you had a Democratic or Republican president. So keep in mind that economic inequality has been something that none of them have been able to really figure out. Number 2, healthcare costs. When you think about all the Democratic and Republican proposals, right? Different approaches to healthcare. The overall cost of healthcare for individuals continues to go up. And I don't care who you are, where you live, it continues to go up. Many still face high premiums, deductibles, medication costs. And regardless of who's in office, these are things that tend to always be headed in the wrong direction. So we want to prepare ourselves to the realization that we can't depend on any president to solve this problem altogether. We must be prepared. Number 3, the tax burden on the middle class. Now, I'm not for this whole class system where we put people in these buckets called class, but I'm going to use it for sake of the American language. We live in America, and this is a language we understand. And we normally define the middle class as a distinct group that has an income that's kind of in the middle, not low income or the higher forms of income that someone would define as wealthy. Now, when you think about the tax burden on the middle class, now, although tax policies vary in all these different candidates, the middle class often sees minimal changes. No matter who's in office, the overall tax burden is pretty consistent, and there's still significant tax breaks that tend to favor the corporations and the wealthy, while everyday expenses like housing and education and, all the things we live on every day just continue to be taxed and to continue to go up for everyday families. This is something, no matter who is in office, that tends to be a problem. Number 4, job security and wages. Now, when you think about job growth and wage stagnation, the way wages rise with the way the cost of living goes up, right? This has been a long-standing issue. And regardless of any administration, no matter who was in office, many workers continue to experience minimal wage increases that, compared to cost of living, is just not enough. And so with jobs often remaining insecure due to, automation and outsourcing to other countries and all the things that go on, there's always a great pressure on job security and having sufficient wages to live the common life in America. These are things that no administration has really been able to truly solve. Now, people can say it was better under this administration, this person was great, this person was awesome. But for everyday people that's living, you will always see this is something that has been an issue. Number 5, student debt. Student debt. Now, I can say a lot about debt and why we even have a system in which we've been motivated to go to college and take out debt, and who was really behind that and who benefits from people taking this debt. And I'm not beating up on anything. I have my master's degree and I've got a double major degree in operations and procurement. So I've definitely paid my debts, right? But this issue of student debt is a real issue that no administration has really been able to solve. Both parties have discussed reform, right? But the student loan crisis still persists. Now, there's been a lot of talks and proposals of debt relief and forgiveness and all kind of substantial change. But many individuals still have a great burden when it comes to student debt. This leaves a lot of people struggling with a lot of personal financial issues. And these are things that we still find to be true no matter what administration is in power. So let's look at number 6. Now, number 6 is housing affordability. Now, I want y'all to know I live in California, so I'm shouting this a little louder, because housing affordability is a pretty serious thing. It's a pretty serious thing. We got people renting out garages and porches and balconies of people's houses just trying to make it, because it's pretty serious here in California, but everywhere. Housing affordability is an issue. So housing prices, rental costs consistently increase no matter what administration, making housing affordability always a challenge under both Democratic or Republican presidents. Considering zoning laws, mortgage rates, housing supply issues, all of this contributes to the trends that remain largely unaffected, no matter if it's Democratic or Republican. And this is something we have to prepare for. And when you think about this, this is a reality, and this is why we can't take it lightly to understand what's really happening, no matter who gets in office. Number 7. Number 7 is small business challenges. Small business challenges. Now, I want you to consider that entrepreneurs face just similar hurdles, such as access to capital, regulatory compliance, dealing with market competition, no matter what administration is in. There's always a battle that entrepreneurs must fight. And if you don't, understand that you need to prepare yourself, no matter who gets in office, you will not be able to win in entrepreneurship. And this is why so many entrepreneurs fail. This is why I've given so much of my time in life every year helping entrepreneurs grow their business because I know how difficult it is, especially when you are in a system that never trained you what to do to have a successful business. So this is something that, while different policies offer temporary relief in this way, the fundamental challenges that entrepreneurs face don't change that much under Democratic or Republican focuses or policies or administration, if you will. Number 8. Number 8 is healthcare and retirement. Healthcare and retirement. Now, we talked about healthcare costs earlier, but I want to kind of zero in on things like Social Security and Medicare. Now, these things face long-term sustainability issues that no administration has really been able to fully solve. The concerns over retirement security continue to persist, no matter if you have a Democratic president or a Republican president, with really just minimal actionable solutions that have really been given that will cause someone to really not have to worry about this issue. So when you think about, comprehensive change that really protects people's concern about things like Social Security and Medicare and making sure as you get older that the right things will be there for you. This has been a struggle to get any administration to really cause this to be something we no longer worry about, right? So we want to be prepared. Number 9. Number 9 is climate change and environment. Now, no matter what you believe about climate change and what you believe is, true or not true, one thing we can all agree on is something is going on with the weather. There's a lot more storms. There's some devastating things happening that have never happened before. There's different changes in what is happening in different areas that didn't happen before. Things are getting warmer. Whatever you believe, we must agree there's something going on in this world. And while policies may differ about environmental issues such as pollution and climate change and all of this, people continue to be impacted every day by the climate and what is going on in the environment. So, the transition to sustainable energy and thinking about environmental protection, all these different measures, the progress, just seems kind of slow. And despite which administration, we see this struggle to solve something that seems like maybe only God can. And so these are 9 things I want you to keep in mind that no matter who wins, these are real issues that we're going to have to really understand will be here. And so we better prepare. Now it's time to talk about who really is the best candidate. All right, it's time to reveal who is the best candidate in this election and really in all elections. I want you to understand that the best candidate in this election is you. Now, I want you to understand what do I mean by that. I want you to see that no matter who gets in office, there are certain things that you have to do that if you don't become the president of your life, your business, and your wealth, you will not have the freedom that you deserve right here in this so-called land of the free. Now, if you want to be free, I want you to understand that as the election ends, you still won't be free unless you take your rightful position as the president of you. Now, I want you to understand that once you are moved into your new role and you understand and embrace what I'm telling you here today, and you begin to realize that no matter what we think and what we feel in terms of a sense of pride of where we live, there's something we have to deal with every single day, and it begins with our environment. It transfers to our thoughts, which leads to our emotions, which leads to what we really do. And if you don't make the decision every day to do the things that make you successful, to do the things that make you great, to do the things that actually will create the life of freedom that you want, there's no president in the world or prime minister or any other ruler anywhere that can change your situation more than you. And this is why I would like to tell you exactly what you need to do in every phase of your new role as the president of your own freedom. Now, I'm going to go to my whiteboard for a minute and we're going to break this down. When you are elected as a president, there's distinct things that you're supposed to do. And since you have now know who the best candidate is, I want to tell you about your responsibility to yourself. And as I tell you each of these, I want you to think about all that you've come through. I want you to think about all that you have still yet to accomplish. I want you to think about the people that are depending on you. And no matter what policy, no matter what the Senate does, no matter what Congress does, no matter if it's a Democratic or a Republican focus that is in the country, no matter what any law changes or doesn't change, every day that you wake up in your home, every day that you look around at your family, every day that you consider where you are in life versus where you want to be. That is the true election that I want to tell you about now, and it's time for you to understand your role. So let's go to the whiteboard, and I want to break this down. The first thing, to have a clear purpose. This means you have to set a clear vision, right? You have to have a clear vision and direction for your life, for your business, for your wealth. Define what success looks like to you, not to someone else, not to a political party. What does success look like to you? I'm talking about your life now, what really matters. And create a roadmap of how you plan to get there. We all have to do that. Purpose, right? The next thing is responsibility. Responsibility. Now, I want you to understand, you have to take ownership, right? Take ownership of your decisions, your actions. There's no one else to blame. We can talk about all the political issues. We can fight on social media. We can exchange words on all these videos and talk about all the controversies and conspiracies. But at the end of the day, you are most responsible for what's going to happen to your life, what's going to happen to your future. So we have to establish our own personal policies, right? There's a lot of policies that's going to come forth from whoever wins. But at the end of the day, what are your personal policies? What is it that guides your choices to really keep you aligned to your own values? So we must understand that our values is the thing that supersedes almost everything else, because it's that innermost thing that makes us make decisions even when it don't seem to make sense. Our values are the biggest anchors to why we do what we do. So you have to make sure you're responsible and taking ownership of the actions you're going to take to make sure you are true to your values. All right. The next area is economy. Economy. See, we have to manage resources wisely. Now, this all comes through, effective budgeting, strategic and financial choices that we make, right? The investments in our future to create financial stability. And just like any president, we evaluate what they do for the economy. And sometimes we look to them to help us determine how good our life economically will be. But I'm here to tell you, you have to create your own economy. You have to think about what you have to do to keep income coming into your business. What you need to understand about what you're going to do in your career and using that money to invest in things and get to the point where you're not working, exchanging time for money, but you're learning how to make money make money. And you're understanding how to create avenues for your own flowing income to be a river that is coming into your family, into your household with continuity. This is all something we can do intentionally as we learn how to create our own economy, being smart with our money and understanding that we always want to monitor what is going in and what is coming out. And so many presidents have struggled to do this. And that's why we don't see any economy that is perfect. But you better try to focus on your own economy, because no matter what economy we're in as a nation, you got to see the economy that's in your household. All right, let's go to the next one, and that is security. Security. So I want you to understand that we have to build a strong foundation of protection. So we have to create our own sense of security, just like we depend on a president to secure the nation, to make sure everything is okay. Well, we have to understand that we must secure our life. We must secure our legacy, our heritage, our family. We have to make sure the assets that we have in our life. What is an asset? An asset is something that can create income, right? So we have to understand when we have a real asset, how do we protect those assets? So we need to know, how do I mitigate risk? How do I make safe decisions? Do I have a trust? Do I have life insurance? Do I have a will? What do I have in place? What assets do I make sure is going where I want them to go? How do I make sure that someone can't sue me and take from me what I've built because I didn't properly use businesses and structures and entities to protect what I have? So we must understand these things so that no matter what is going on, we are secure. Let's go to the next word. The next word is influence. Influence. Influence is to lead and inspire those around you. Now, I want you to understand something. We have to be the greatest role model to those around us. Now, we can't control what other people do. We can't control even what the president does. We can't control what Congress does, the police force, what is going to happen with the school administration. We can't control the hospitals. We can't control the military. But we can influence those around us by becoming the person and reflecting the attributes that we want others to have, not only respecting who we are, but also being impacted by who we are. So when you think about, your role model, communicating your vision, motivating others to share your goals. You ever heard the statement, if you hang around 9 broke, low-income thinking people, you'll be the 10th. So not any knock against someone who doesn't have income. I'm talking about a mindset, right? I've had times where I didn't have a lot of income. I've been poor. I went to school with the patches on the knee. I've had those experiences. But it's the mindset that keeps you really in a poverty cycle. So what do we want to do? We want to influence those around us to be better by being better, right? And being able to consider, how am I influencing the friendships, the relationships that are around me by the commitment I make to myself. Sometimes people say, well, no one follows me. No one is looking to me. Well, we got to give them something to look at. I can't follow someone that doesn't know where they're going. So I got to be clear where I'm trying to go, and then I can become an inspiration. Next word is development. And I want to focus specifically on development of relationships. Now, this has to do with the ability to cultivate meaningful connections. And these are meaningful connections with people that align to your vision, allowing you to build a network of support so you can collaborate for mutual growth. Any good president wants to form alliances. That's why you have all these big groups that come together and the nations come together and they try to meet and talk and have all kinds of trade agreements. And they're trying to do all kinds of things to, export and import and work things out that allow different countries to win. And whatever you think about all of that, whatever you think is better, wherever you think should be done, and when you think about all the international moves and the relationships, if you disagree with whatever or how you ever feel about what is going on in different parts of the world, the biggest relationships that you need to manage are the ones around you. It's the ones that you are impacting. It is the relationships that will help you move forward. Have you found the coach that can help you go further? Have you found the person that can give you information that you need to take that next step in your life? Are you able to form a connection and make alliances with things that actually make you better versus just people that you're having fun with? This is a very, very critical thing. The next word is emergency. And I'll call this emergency management. This has to do with being prepared to handle crisis. So you have to be able to adapt to challenges. You have to develop a sense of resiliency to solve problems when they come up. The skills to just be able to get through those obstacles confidently. This is what we expect in a president. Emergencies come up, like the pandemic, like 9/11, that you didn't plan for it. But did you know we have 9/11s in our life? We have pandemics in our life. We have that unexpected news from a doctor. We have that relationship that didn't go the way we expected. We have that situation that came up with our children. We have that thing that didn't go right in our business. What are you going to do? Well, as the president that you are, you must be prepared how to deal with emergency, how to manage emergency. This is your responsibility. This is your role. You've been elected for yourself. This is something you have to do. All right. Then we want to have navigation. And I'll add with this progress monitoring. So this is really the ability to just track your progress. See, a lot of people say a lot of stuff, but they don't really track their progress and see, are they winning or losing? They just say, I'm going to do this and make some New Year's resolution and never look at it again. When you track your progress and you make adjustments as needed, you regularly evaluate your goals and you keep adapting your strategy to stay on course with what you said you want to do. When you say you want to lose weight, really stick to that. When you say you're going to eat better, really stick to that. When you say you're going to get that certificate, do it. When you say you're going to actually follow through and build that business, when you say you're going to learn how to build a sales funnel to increase sales in your business, if you say you're going to learn how to be a better communicator, you want to learn how to speak from the stage, you want to learn how to use artificial intelligence to grow your business faster, don't just say the words. Do the thing that makes the words come true. This is what we do when we navigate and we monitor our progress to make sure we really get to where we've said we want to go. Last but not least, we need transparency. And I'll put communication with that. So we have to communicate openly and effectively. Now, any good president must be a masterful communicator. And this is something that we must do as the president of our life, business, and wealth. I talk about the freedom trifecta, understanding we have to deal with life, business, and wealth if we truly want to be free. You got to know something about all three of those. Freedom in your life, freedom in your business, freedom in your wealth. And I want you to understand, you must foster trust with people through the ability to be transparent. Be able to be transparent with people, that they can trust that what you're communicating is really real. Being honest, having clear dialogue. Whenever you communicate, there's a sender and there's a receiver. And you have to know how to send communication in a way where you're considering the person that you're talking to, so you send it in a way that it can be received. And when you receive communication, you have to consider the sender and the place they're sending it from to make sure you are ready to receive what they're sending. we master the art of communication, it's one of the strongest wealth-creating skills you could have. The ability to talk to others, communicate clearly, and to get people to understand what it is that you're trying to convey. Now, I want you to notice something. Let's go back to the whiteboard here. And we have spelled a word here, as you can see, president. And I want you to remember this acronym that as you move into your new elected position, I voted for you. You won. You got to have purpose. You got to have responsibility. You got to manage your own economy. You got to have your own security. You got to have influence. You got to have development in relationships. You got to have emergency management. You got to have navigation and progress monitoring. And you got to have the ability to be transparent and to communicate. That's what this is all about. I'll be back with some final thoughts. So there you have it. You know now who to vote for. And no matter what you choose to do here in America, I hope you see one of the most important things you could ever do is to make sure you step up for yourself and be the president of your life, your business, and your wealth. I want you to also understand, I have a powerful event coming up, and if you're interested in coming to one of our events, the Ultimate Freedom Live, there's nothing like it for entrepreneurs and forward-thinking professionals. If you want to know more about creating freedom in your life, your business, and your wealth, you want to make sure you find out about what is coming up and see if you still have time to register. See if there's any tickets left for you to come. You can go to theultimatefreedomlive.com. So we welcome you to come to that and find out more about how we can truly be free and get to that ultimate freedom. So I want you to leave here with something really clear. I want you to really have the resolve to step up to your new role and position. Leave here understanding that no matter what happens, what has to happen most is what you choose to do for you. When we begin to step up for ourselves, we won't be dependent on any president to stop us from being president, if you know what I mean. I'm Michael E. Parker, the CEO Maker. Keep being the CEO of your life, your business, and your wealth, and never give up on pursuing the ultimate freedom. Until next episode, I'll see you soon.